Final topic of the Kind of Funny Gamescast for this week. It should be a fast one, first off, because you have to go. But also because we've hinted around. You've played this The Last of Us, right?
Yeah, of course. It's my favorite game of 2013.
Well, all right. You have good taste. Over on Patreon.com, Adam Kershaw backed us at a certain amount to get his question right on the air. Thank you very much, Adam. And his question is, one of my favorite shows you guys ever did was The Last of Us spoiler cast. There surely has to be a sequel. Where do you see the story going, and what do you want to see from the next game? Love you guys. Go Islanders. Adam Kershaw.
Good man.
So clearly this is a spoilers one. If you haven't beaten The Last of Us yet, you probably want to bounce. Exactly. Yeah, but I'm never gonna untap my head on this one because it's just to the end now.
I don't know.
To the windows, to the walls.
It was clear to me that, I did the history of Naughty Dog. I spent a lot of time at that studio and wrote like 50,000 words on the studio or whatever. And I never got to write the piece about The Last of Us because everything changed, and I never had. It was all primary sources, so I just never got to write it. But it was clear to me that they didn't necessarily design the game to be to have a sequel, nor did they necessarily want to do one. But I think that they were always open to the idea of doing it. I think now that the game sold 6 or 7 or 8 million copies, whatever it sold, it's a no-brainer. And so I've said time and time again, like just to get right into it, that my personal opinion on the sequel to The Last of Us is that I'd like it to start literally right at the ending of The Last of Us.
She sighs, and you pick right out from the
like where like they talk to each other and just start right there.
Yeah, I'd play that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is that I'd play any of them. I hope it doesn't happen. Like, I really hope they don't. Like,
you're one of those guys.
I am one of those.
Oh, they're going to make a sequel.
I know. I'm not betting that it's not going to happen. I know it's going to happen, but I wish they wouldn't. And if they did do it, I would have rather seen something that we've always talked about, like more DLC of Ish's Tale or something, right? Like, I'd rather see even filled in when Joel, a younger Joel story, a prequel to that, you know what I mean? To see everything happen.
I think it's likely you might see some of that stuff, right? Yeah. These guys are gutsy,
If anything, I'd like to see, and if we have to go forward more, and they are very gutsy, if we have to go forward more, I would want to see, I think I'd want time to pass, see Ellie a bit older, and Joel a bit older, and go from there and see, when I beat The Last of Us, right, I immediately started texting Neil Druckmann, because he was like, what did you think? I'm like, I'm not there, and I texted him immediately, I'm just like, I was the bad guy? I was playing the bad guy the whole. He's like, you're not that's up to interpretation. I'm like, no, fuck that. Joel is a bad guy, but his choice
by the end, right?
And that's the thing is that you got to get in these conversations with people, especially people who have daughters, and like, no, he made the right choice. I would never have done that. And
yeah,
I'm like,
this is good. That's
but like,
good.
what I was hoping when it's happening, and not even when it's happening, because I'm just too floored by what is happening. But I always wanted her to wake up and be like, they told me I was going to die. Like, if it picks right up, I want her to be like, they told me this was going to kill me, and this was my choice, and you've stolen it from me. You know what I mean? Like, I want there to be conflict between Joel and Ellie, which sucks because I love them and I love their relationship.
You're probably gonna get it.
That's what I want. Like, that's what I want to see in the next one for sure. Is there to be some kind of repercussion with her based on what he did?
Yeah, the way they ended, there's no way that they wouldn't be able to. That they wouldn't go across those waters, right?
Yeah,
those
because she sighs like she knows.
She knows.
She knows he was lying to her. Fucking
good,
damn
man.
it.
Yeah, to me, it's funny the way that people interpret that game too, because I remember talking about it on the Spoilercast before we had Neil and Bruce on Podcast Beyond, like after the game came out, and we were talking about it. I remember in the Spoilercast, my whole thing was Greg was like, you play as the bad guy. I'm like, no, you're not. There's no guarantee that cure was going to work anyway, and in fact, the Fireflies might have been lying to you.
No way.
And Greg was like, you're crazy, and everyone was like laughing at me. And I remember talking when Bruce came, he's like, no, or Neil was like, no, it's a great point. Like, they never actually. There's no guarantee the cure was going to work, and there's no guarantee the Fireflies were telling anyone the truth. So like it was.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah. So it was like, to me, I was like, Joel made it was definitely a selfish choice.
Yeah.
But my whole rationale when he did it was, in my mind, if I was in Joel's position, I'd been like, where's the guarantee this is going to work? You have no proof that this sacrifice of this girl is going to work. And I think that's what everyone got caught up on, as opposed to the way I looked at it. I think a lot of other people looked at it, and I think the way Neil might have even written it, which was that there is no guarantees, and so he isn't the bad guy. It's like way more nebulous than that. That said, they downplay it or don't talk a lot about it, and I do believe them in terms of the rationale, or not the rationale, the inspiration for the game being The Road, which I think is Cormac McCarthy's book, which I think is it's fucking obvious, but like they don't take a lot of inspiration from it. But when I think about that book, one of the great books I've ever read, it's about a father and his son, but really the star of the entire book is the world. And I think we also have to get caught up with that Joel and Ellie are special and we love them, but I think maybe the star of The Last of Us is actually that world. And like, I wonder if like the story that you tell has nothing to do with them at all. And it's like a totally The Last of Us 2 is just a different just a different story about a different group. Maybe the Fireflies do have a national reach, I guess, at least from Boston to Salt Lake, but Maybe it's about a different group or in a different country, or
maybe it's the Fireflies going after Joel. You know what I mean? They've put it together that this was happening, that there was this massacre. He's kind of like a legend, right? He is I Am Legend. Now they have to go after him. That's what your mission is.
So yeah, I think that like the whole Ish thing like is obvious, and I think that should have been the DLC, and I don't think they're gonna go back to that or whatever. And I think the DLC they did with Left Behind was amazing. I wish I had no combat at all. I wish that they had the balls to do something like that, but you know. I think that the Last of Us sequel is definitely going to happen. I'm sure it's in pre-production now. I'm sure that the entire, even though they have their 2-team kind of thing going on at Naughty Dog, that all of them are on Uncharted.
They're going to have to roll off, right?
Yeah, so I don't think anything's happening now, and I don't think Last of Us 2 is imminent at all. I think you see it 2018, 2019 maybe. But I hope that if they don't continue right after the ending, I hope that's just totally different, like a totally different story. But I'm not. I can understand the sanctity of that story in terms of like leaving it alone, but Sony's pretty blatant about it, and everyone is. Activision and Ubisoft, everyone that makes IP, that they make IP to make
you want to
sequels.
make money. You're a business.
Yep. And if that IP came out the gate and sold 8 million units, then I can't
hopefully
imagine.
it's as good as Peace Walker.
Yeah, give me The Last of Us portable. Bite-sized operations.
We got to talk about Peace Walker at some point, but I got to run.
I know,
you guys can keep going.
No, we're ending.
We'll wrap it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's nothing to be said. No,
I've been watching it. I've been watching it. Don't worry. We're going to get you out of here at 3 and get you an Uber. Don't worry about it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure having you on the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Remember, each and every Friday we post this at patreon.com/kindoffunny. Then the next week it's broken out topic by topic over on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Damn, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames is the Patreon. You just go to Patreon, find Kind of Funny. We're everywhere. Go to kindoffunny.com, find everything. Then MP3 YouTube on Friday. It's great. It's been a pleasure having you, Ryan Payton.
Thank you, sir.
Republic Remastered is out right now on Steam. GOG. Humble.
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna say one day to Mac, one day to Mac,
yeah,
one
day
you probably to Vita, because we know people.
You got it.
Everybody go get it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Colin, thank you for yours.
Oh, my pleasure.
Until next time, I'm not Tim Gettys.